Hello everybody, I am back and you're now watching another reaction video on the channel. Yeah, and well, it's a Llama Arts video I'm reacting to, and this was a Hitchhiking horror stories animated. As always, the link to the original video is in the description box. And without further ado, let's get to it, shall we?
3 months after I turned 16 in 2005, I got my first car, a '99 Toyota Camry. On a warm Saturday night, when my friend Alex invited me over to one of his friend's big parties, I knew I wouldn't be in a condition to drive the Camry home afterward. So we carpooled with Alex's girlfriend, Brianna. We lived in the countryside of Virginia, meaning less big parties. Meaning when there was a big party, it was a huge deal and everyone would go. We lived about 5 to 10 minutes away from this kid's house. I knew where he lived as I was acquainted with him, but not exactly friends. The whole ride there, we took the same 2-lane highway type road through the woods, and this kid...
Well, I can't complain because there's quite a few people I'm acquainted with, but not exactly friends with.
His house was actually on this road further down. At certain points on this road, there were a few houses on either side, and then it would just go back to being a long, empty highway again. The house was tiny, like a lot of houses around the area, but the party was held outside anyways, since its closest neighbors were relatively far away, and noise wasn't an issue.
That's not bad.
I'll skip most of the party up until the point that Brianna, who was supposed to be our designated driver, had to suddenly leave for a small family emergency. Alex said it was fine and that we'd find a ride home. Well, fast forward another few hours and another few drinks, and I could barely even walk straight. I checked my watch, and it was like 2 in the morning. I figured it was time to go. I started looking for Alex, but I couldn't find him anywhere. In fact, it seemed like everybody I knew had already left. I could barely even think straight, but I was still furious at the fact that Alex could have actually left without me. I asked to use the party host's phone and dialed Alex's home number. After 2 tries, I gave up and then realized I shouldn't wake his family up. So, literally not knowing...
No, ring for a third time. You ring for a third time because his parents deserve to know that he ditched your ass.
What else to do? I dizzily stepped out onto the road and began walking back home. I knew this walk would take anywhere from half an hour to an hour in my condition. Maybe after 15 minutes of walking down the road, the slight shine of car headlights on the road was fading in from behind me. Jumping for joy inside, I lifted up my arm and stuck out my thumb.
Which is what you do when you hitchhike.
It slowed down and came to a stop right next to me.
I just want to pause it here just to mention, if you're gonna go and hitchhike, be very, very careful. And make sure you have a can of pepper spray on hand. Sure, some people might say you're worse, but me, I'm gonna say that's a smart thing you just did. Take a can of pepper spray with you, because at least you can claim self-defense by saying that the guy tried to assault you, and you're left with no choice but to pepper spray him. Because you can claim that as self-defense.
The man driving the '98 Ford Explorer rolled down the window and asked where you headed. I told him my house was just down the road and beyond a right turn, probably slurring my words beyond comprehension. He chuckled and told me to hop in. I thanked him and joyously hopped into the truck. I was exhausted, and I remember completely disregarding things the guy was asking me because I was so close to just passing out. And that's what happened. The memories of being in that truck turned to a fog, as I'm sure I passed out.
Yeah, that ain't good. Worst part is the worst part about the situation is the fact that some people are gonna think that the guy in the driver's seat is his dad, not realizing that this dude is actually hitchhiking, and the guy driving is just some random person that this kid had actually has signaled to give him a ride.
I remember, I woke up still in the moving truck. The guy looked at me and laughed, but didn't say anything. I looked around and realized the road we were on wasn't familiar. I nervously asked, where are we going? He then said, so what were you doing out this late anyway? As the man answered my very straightforward question with another irrelevant question, the sobering reality of the situation hit me. You can let me out anywhere, I told the man. The man responded with a firm no. I felt like throwing up as he said that. No, I really actually felt like I was going to throw up. I started to gag as I felt more and more nauseous by the second.
Use that to your
The
advantage.
man took his eyes off the road to look at me.
Use that to your advantage.
I thought of the perfect distraction.
Face this direction
I
and
turned in his
vomit on
direction
him.
as I continued to gag, and he started to kind of lean away and slow down the car. Thankfully, I drank as much as I did, because I finally threw up and made a point of doing it all over the man's lap. The man yelled in frustration and stopped the car, and that's when I took it upon myself to run for my life into the woods and duck behind a few bushes. The man came following into the woods with a flashlight, and on 2 separate occasions, he shined the light straight over me without noticing. Eventually, I heard his footsteps walk even further into the woods past me. That was when I ran back to his truck, but unfortunately, he was smart enough to lock it. By some miracle, I saw another car approaching in the distance, and I ran out into the middle of the street, waving my arms like a lunatic. The car tried to avoid me, but I wouldn't let it. They were forced to stop, and I yelled at them to help me before they came back. Once I told them that I was kidnapped by the man who was driving that Ford Explorer, the driver agreed to give me a lift. Not to the police station or anything, but to my house. I made it back safe.
Did you write down the license plate? Did the person write down the license plate? Because that's very important.
Where I couldn't thank the driver enough. I immediately woke up my parents and told them. My dad wanted to know if I got his tag number. And then I felt like punching myself in the face. I failed to get the simplest information from the guy that would have allowed me to actually properly report him.
For those of you that don't know, the tag number is the license plate on your car.
All I knew was that he drove a faded blue '99 Ford Explorer. I made sure to give Alex a piece of my mind, and part of me always held a grudge against him ever since, just for abandoning me at a party without telling me. I haven't seen him in 4 years now, however, and this was actually the first time I even thought about this incident for almost a year now. As time goes on, even the worst of memories may start to fade, but after writing this to share with the internet, it's once again fresh in my mind.
I'm not surprised. I ain't surprised that it's fresh in his mind again. When you get creepy BS like that happen to you, then that's gonna be a little bit hard to forget. And this is why if you ever hitchhike, make sure you got a can of pepper spray and at least a pen and notepad, or maybe a camera, or use a camera on your phone to take the tag number / license plate number of the person's car if you feel like, well, if they refuse to stop, if they firmly refuse to stop and let you out, because then you'll be able to, because when you file a report to the police, you'll be able to give them the evidence, and then they can report. Well, then they can then they'll be able to arrest that person, so he keys and that'll be a pain in your anus if one way or another in that situation. Seen evidence here. Holy shit, that is not good. Oh no, 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 no. Well, it's anyway, the link to this original video on Llama Arts' YouTube channel is in the description box down below. If you enjoyed this reaction video, please give it a thumbs up, comment what your thoughts are, subscribe and whatnot, and until next time, goodbye for now.